there was a big advantage to that, because most of the guys that I served with in Vietnam, they were newbies. They went to basic AIT Vietnam. They didn't know anything. Here I had all this training. You hand me any infantry weapon, I could use it. And like I said before, especially the 90 millimeter recoilless rifle, which I was really good at. I was kind of going up. I mean, they raised my rank as soon as I got to Vietnam. And then later, again, I was a squad leader. Anyway, January and February of 1968 were just hell. They're absolutely hell. I mean, we were in it all the time. It seemed like the little firefights are some pretty big ones. Our base camp was overrun on January 3rd of '68. Had several people killed. Actually, we fought them back, but another fire base that was about 2 miles away was really breached, and they had several people killed and several. So anyway, it was quite a time in Vietnam. Well, then we were shipped up to Hue because the Marines had that big battle going on in Hue, and there were North Vietnam and Viet Cong were infiltrating in Hue and actually bringing more weapons and more personnel on their side. So our job was to block all of that outside. So the Marines only had to deal with the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese soldiers that were already in Hue. I've written several stories, but most of my stories are about that time in Hue. I've written a story called The Battle of Than La Chu that I've got a lot of comments on. I did a night recon mission. Myself and another soldier went behind enemy lines. I wouldn't even tell this story for years, except to my wife. And then in 1990, a book came out called The Lost Battalion of Tet. And that story is in The Lost Battalion of Tet, with my name mentioned. If my name wasn't mentioned, I still wouldn't tell the story. Myself and another soldier, well, we called them troopers, we worked up into a building along with 14 other people and my commander, Lieutenant Ackerman. And then he asked for 2 volunteers to go into the wood line to see what was going on, because every time one of us, a company or a platoon tried to cross, they took a lot of fire. So this was overcast night, there wasn't even a moon. But anyway, we went behind enemy lines, 2 of us did. First thing we did is we went to the wood line and looked around this wood line, and we didn't see anything. So I went back and I said, Lieutenant, we don't see anything. He said, well, there's something there, you need to go back. So are you kidding me? So anyway, we went to the wood line, looked again, and then there was a clearing and then another wood line about 50 yards past that. So we went on. I couldn't believe it at the time that I was doing this, but we went to the next wood line and we saw a hooch, a building, but it was a pretty new building. It was constructed not long ago, and it was up on stilts, which the South Vietnamese don't normally do. But they have monsoon season, so they want to get it up off of the. So myself and I had other trooper on my right, we squatted down in some bush, some shrub. We squatted down just to kind of look and see what, we're just about to leave North Vietnamese soldier walked out of the building, walked right over next to Cochran, like stood right here where Cochran was here, unbuttoned his pants and started to pee. And then started buttoning back up again, and then he realized that someone was there. And he leaned over and looked right at Cochran and said, "Tu," which is a Vietnamese name.